They saw an old man with snow-white hair, rowing a small wooden boat through the early morning mist, clutching a bundle of deep red roses. To them, it was just a peculiar act, hardly noteworthy. Then, the Coast Guard swooped in, handcuffed him for trespassing in a restricted area, treated him like a criminal. No one knew. Just 1 hour later, the ocean would roar. A massive Navy ship emerged. From its deck, 1,000 rose petals were released onto the still sea, a national ritual to honor the fallen. Who was Benjamin Cole, this quiet man? What made the entire sea fall silent when his identity was revealed? This isn't just a story of an infuriating arrest. It's the unquenchable flame of loyalty, the echo of war, the revival of memories America once denied. Follow the story of a forgotten hero and how he made an entire nation bow its head. Subscribe to the Veteran Best Stories channel now, because stories like this will set your heart ablaze, and you'll never forget. A cold morning. The sea stretches out, silent, but it brings no peace. Tiny waves lap against the boat's side, whispering stories never fully told. The old soldier, gaunt and frail, his shoulders weighed down by years of service, sits quietly on the weathered wooden boat. In his hands, a bouquet of fresh flowers, vivid red and pure white petals trembling in the sea breeze, as if they, too, shudder with the pain he carries in his heart. Each petal is a tribute, a shard of memory for fallen comrades, those he once shared laughter, fear, and unfinished dreams with. Today, he brings not just flowers, but a heart heavy with sorrow, a silent vow that he will not let them be forgotten. The boat glides slowly through forbidden waters, where invisible signs of the ban hover in the air. He knows this well. The prohibition was declared, strict and unrelenting, like a steel wall separating him from the past. Yet in his mind, another voice rises, stronger than any law, urging him forward. It's the voice of loyalty, of long nights with comrades by campfire light, of promises to always remember each other, no matter how time passes or the world changes. He feels the conflict within. On one side, the justice and discipline he revered for years. On the other, the pain of loss, vivid memories of familiar faces now mere names carved in stone. A fleeting fear of capture brushes through him, like a cold gust across his chest, but it's swiftly extinguished by burning resolve. He cannot turn back. He cannot let these flowers wilt on the shore, cannot let those souls sink into oblivion. The sea remains still, but the air grows heavier now as a Coast Guard patrol boat emerges from the horizon. Flashing lights on the vessel, like cold, piercing eyes, lock onto his tiny boat. A harsh, unyielding voice blares through the megaphone, demanding he stop. In that moment, time seems to freeze. The old soldier lifts his head. His eyes, clouded by age, still blaze with an unquenchable fire. He says nothing, only gazes silently at the flowers in his hands. The petals tremble, as if they too sense the tension in the air. His heart pounds, not from fear, but from a profound pain, a conflict only he truly understands. He sees his comrades' faces again, hears their laughter, and the deafening blasts that took them forever. How could he stop? How could he let those memories be buried beneath indifferent waves? On shore, a video of this scene spreads swiftly, touching the hearts of strangers. They see an old soldier, a weathered veteran with a stoic demeanor, standing silently before the force of authority. No excuses, no resistance, only a silence heavy with meaning. Through his eyes, they sense his inner turmoil, the unhealed pain of losses never eased, the fierce pride in preserving memories, and the barrier of rigid rules. Each viewer is drawn into his story, not just by the image of a man defying law, but because they recognize that, deep within, he carries a heart still fighting not against anyone, but to hold on to what is most sacred: memories, bonds, and the values he spent a lifetime defending. The old soldier remains there, the bouquet in his hands like a flag that never falls. He doesn't know if he'll scatter those petals on the sea as he wished, or be forced to return, carrying regret. But in that moment, he feels peace. Not because he has won or lost, but because he knows he chose rightly. He chose to stand, to remember those who sacrificed, to let his heart lead the way. Whatever the outcome, he has sent a message that comradeship, loyalty, and memory cannot be erased, not by time, not by laws, not by any force in the world. News of the old soldier spread swiftly, like a gust sweeping over the waves, stirring the minds of strangers. His story, a veteran daring to defy a ban to scatter flowers in memory of his comrades, becomes the heart of heated debates. Public opinion splits sharply, like two opposing waves clashing on the sea's surface. One side firmly condemns his actions, insisting that discipline is the backbone of order, that laws cannot be dismissed for personal feelings. They fear his defiance sets a dangerous precedent, where anyone might claim the right to break rules for their own reasons. But the other side, equally forceful, sees him with eyes full of empathy. They see in him a heart bleeding from unhealed losses, a soul still loyal to those who fell. To them, the bouquet in his hands is more than petals. It's a symbol of loyalty, of a promise never broken. The community, with its diverse voices, becomes a complex tapestry of emotions and reflections. Some stand silent before their screens, wondering if such rigid regulations are truly necessary, or if they unwittingly form walls between people and sacred values. Others quietly worry, questioning whether, if everyone acted like him, order could still be maintained. Yet, above all, most hearts following the story feel a quiet ache, a heaviness when they see the true reason behind his actions. They see he's not just fighting the law, but his own pain, the pain of a soldier who lost brothers, those he vowed to always remember. In the public's eyes, the image of the old soldier holding his head high amid a legal storm becomes an unyielding symbol. He doesn't bow, doesn't beg for forgiveness, but stands there, silent yet resolute, like a lighthouse enduring the tempest. His story stirs profound questions in the hearts of onlookers. Do memories and comradeship outweigh the dry words of the law? Can a bouquet scattered on the sea carry more weight than the force of authority? The tension between discipline and sacred emotion flows like an undercurrent, seeping into the public's minds, slowly shifting their views. From initial concern, they begin to admire his courage, to value how he chose to stand for what he believes is right. Some even feel a stirring urge to act, to do something to protect the values he represents. Values of sacrifice, loyalty, and memories that never fade. Far away in coastal villages, people quietly recount old stories. They recall past flower-scattering ceremonies, when bouquets were released onto the sea in silence, a sacred ritual to honor the departed. Those memorials were once quiet, unassuming, without confrontation. But this time, the old soldier's story carries a different tone, fierce and deeply emotional. They sense his loneliness. as if he faces the world alone, against the law, against authority, and against the unhealed wounds in his heart. They picture him on his small boat, bouquet in hand, his gaze fixed on the horizon where memories of his comrades remain vivid. They feel the weight pressing on his shoulders, knowing his actions could lead to punishment, yet he chooses to press forward. In the hearts of these coastal folk, a flame of empathy begins to burn. They see him not just as an individual, but as a symbol of collective wounds, of losses their community has endured. They want to do something, not to defy the law, but to heal, to find a way to honor the silent sacrifices the old soldier strives to preserve. This empathy spreads, like small waves rippling one after another, passing from heart to heart. It sparks a new thought, a desire to find a path where memory and loyalty can be honored, without the cost of conflict or pain. In their eyes, the old soldier is no longer just a lawbreaker. He is a silent hero, one who dared to stand and remind the world that some things are worth fighting for, no matter how great the cost. Public fervor still rages, debates over the old soldier's actions yet to subside, when an unexpected event unfolds, like a great wave sweeping away doubt and division. Just 1 hour after the veteran's detention, a massive Navy ship appears, cleaving the waves as it advances into the ocean. On its deck, thousands of vibrant red rose petals stand ready, awaiting the moment to be released onto the water. As the ship glides forward, the petals begin to fall, gentle, like tears from the heavens, blanketing the deep blue sea. The image, beautiful and serene, speaks without words, resonating like a silent hymn of remembrance, a wordless ritual brimming with meaning. Each petal is a tribute, a quiet acknowledgement of those who sacrificed, and a belated apology for what was once obstructed. The community witnesses this scene through viral videos, their hearts stirred awake. Surprise surges, mingling with irrepressible tears. They see an institution renowned for iron discipline now choosing to listen, to change, to honor the values the old soldier risked everything to defend. Emotion spreads, not just for the ritual's beauty, but for its profound significance, that even the most rigid walls can crack before the power of loyalty and memory. On the ship, a senior officer stands silently, his gaze fixed on the horizon where petals meld with the waves. In his heart, a quiet dialogue unfolds. He recalls days of battle, faces of comrades forever gone, and promises that they would not be forgotten. The decision to hold this ceremony was not easy. It stemmed from sleepless nights of reflection, a struggle between upholding rules and recognizing values that transcend all law. But watching the petals fall, he knows he chose rightly. This ritual is not just a balm for wounds, it's a way to restore faith. Faith that the loyalty of soldiers will always be cherished. On the ship's deck, the old soldier stands, his weathered frame unyielding, yet his eyes alight with a new spark. As the rose petals fall, his heart seems to pause, submerged in a sea of emotions too vast to name. Just hours ago he was detained, the bouquet in his hands threatened by a cold ban. Now he stands amid a national ceremony, witnessing thousands of petals fulfill his vow to his fallen comrades. The contrast, from prohibition to reverence, ignites a storm within him. He feels seen, not just as a veteran, but as one who dared to stand for what is most sacred. The wounds in his heart, never truly healed, now seem soothed by the sea breeze and falling petals. He doesn't weep, but his eyes blur, as if glimpsing the smiling faces of his comrades from afar. In that moment, he is no longer alone. He knows he didn't fight in vain, that what he cherishes has now been embraced by an entire community. The community watches the ceremony through spreading images, a flame of hope igniting in their hearts. They see not just a beautiful ritual, but proof that justice and reverence can coexist. The image of rose petals on the sea becomes a symbol of reconciliation, of mending the rifts between law and humanity. Each viewer feels a shift within their soul. They begin to believe that no matter how the world changes, no matter how rigid the rules, there is always room for loyalty, for memory, for courageous acts like those of the old soldier. This ceremony is not merely a tribute, it's a reminder that sometimes the most valuable things lie not in the lines of law, but in the hearts of those who dare to defend them. As the ship slowly turns back, leaving behind a sea of petals shimmering under the sunlight, the old soldier remains, silent but steadfast. He says nothing, but in his heart a rare peace has settled. He knows that, though his journey may end, those petals will forever drift on the sea, carrying the memories of those who sacrificed. The echo of the flower scattering ceremony lingers, like rose petals shimmering on the water, not only in the old soldier's heart, but in the community's collective mind. The story doesn't end with the Navy ship cleaving the waves. It continues, carrying unexpected changes, like a new current slipping through the cracks of the system. The detention of the old soldier is reconsidered with rare care. Old regulations, once rigid as granite, are now weighed and dissected, seeking adjustments so future memorials won't be hindered by invisible barriers. A day after the ceremony, the old soldier is released. Before the public, the authorities issue him a formal apology, not just an admission of error, but a promise of change. As he steps out from the cold room of the investigation office, a gentle breeze brushes through his chest. His heart, once burdened by the chain of events, now feels cleansed, light, and at peace. In the old soldier's heart, a complex stream of emotions swirls. He feels pride, a deep, quiet pride, seeing the voice of memory, the voice he risked everything to raise, finally heard. The petals he once clutched tightly, the memories he feared would fade, have now become a flame illuminating an entire community. But mingled with that pride is a trace of unease, like a small, lingering scratch. He knows his actions, though born from the heart, touched the edge of the law, sparking debates and turmoil. He wonders if he could have acted differently, if there was a way to honor his comrades without clashing with the rules. Yet, reflecting on his journey, he realizes that this very collision sparked something greater, a collective awareness of the value of memory and loyalty. The community, the Navy, and even the machinery of authority have seen what he always believed, that the soldiers who sacrificed deserve to be remembered, and that the heartfelt cry of an old soldier can shake an entire system. His emotions have been a long journey, from those early days filled with tension and fear. As he quietly rode through the forbidden waters, his heart pounded, not just from the risk of capture, but from the dread that his mission might fail, that his comrades would remain forever forgotten. Then came the moment when the Navy ship appeared, bearing thousands of rose petals. His heart burst with emotion. The feeling was so overwhelming he could scarcely breathe, as if all his pain, all his hopes, were released in the soft fall of petals on the sea. And now, standing before a public apology, he feels a rare peace. It's not just recognition for him. It's the continuation of the mission he's carried for years. the mission to keep the flame of memory burning. In his heart, a quiet clarity takes root. He realizes his actions didn't just heal personal wounds, the pain he's harbored since the war. They did something greater. They fostered unity in the community. The coastal villagers, the strangers who watched his story unfold on screens, now look at him with reverence, as if he spoke for them, awakening a belief that memory and loyalty are values that cannot be erased. The Navy, with its flower-scattering ceremony, sent a message that it's not just an institution of discipline, but a collective that listens and honors. And the authorities, with their apology, proved that justice isn't an immovable wall, but a path that can bend to embrace sacred values. As he stands silently by the shore, gazing at the ocean where the petals once fell, a sense of serenity floods his soul. He is no longer the lone old soldier against the world. He is part of a greater story, a story of healing, of recognition, and of the power of simple things like a bouquet or a promise. He knows that though time may pass, his comrades will be remembered, not just in his heart, but in the heart of a community that has learned to cherish silent sacrifices. And for him, that is the greatest victory. In the days following the flower-scattering ceremony, the old soldier's figure becomes an icon in the community's eyes, a quiet flame illuminating values thought to be forgotten. Yet he shuns the spotlight. He silently declines praise, sidesteps the cameras and microphones thrust before him. To him, the story isn't about himself. It's about the fallen comrades, the souls he vowed to forever remember. In later memorials, he returns to the sea, bouquet in hand, scattering petals onto the deep blue water. This time, he carries a special permit, an official recognition from the authorities, but his actions retain their solemn grace, a sacred ritual needing no crowd's gaze. Each falling petal is a whisper, a resonant reminder in his heart. Memory and loyalty never fade, no matter how harsh time may be. In his heart, each sea journey is an inward pilgrimage. As he releases the petals, he senses the presence of his lost brothers, as if they stand beside him, smiling through the sea breeze. The pain of loss lingers, yet it no longer crushes him. Instead, it has become part of him, a source of strength fueling his mission. He seeks no acclaim, but deep within, he finds solace, knowing his story has touched others' hearts. Those petals are not just a tribute to the past, they are a promise to the future, that the values he cherishes will endure, living on in generations to come. The community cannot forget his story. The image of the old soldier, standing on the Navy ship as thousands of rose petals fell to the sea, is etched in their minds. Schools begin inviting him, not to recount battlefield glories, but to share simple memories of comradeship, of moments when he and young soldiers laughed by campfire light. Students, eyes gleaming with curiosity, listen to him, and through his stories, they learn that the past isn't just dry pages in books. It's vivid lessons of loyalty and sacrifice. The media writes about him. Videos of the flower ceremony spread widely, becoming symbols of patriotism and reverence for the fallen. For the young, his story is a fresh breeze, igniting in them a drive to understand the past's value, to act rightly in the present, and to never take for granted what their ancestors sacrificed. The old soldier doesn't keep his memories to himself alone. He begins to listen to the confidences of other veterans, those carrying unhealed wounds of the soul. They seek him out, not because he's a hero, but because they see in him a companion, someone who understands the nightmares and solitary moments only those who've seen battle can grasp. He shares his experiences with them, how he faced fear and inner conflict, how he found solace through memorial rituals and the strength of comradeship. Through these conversations, he helps them find a flicker of light, however small, in the darkness of their painful memories. He doesn't promise to erase their pain, but he shows them they're not alone, that the petals on the sea can carry their wounds too, merging with the waves to find peace. The memories of his comrades, once his private burden, have become a shared legacy. They are no longer just personal tales, but a spreading flame, igniting reverence and responsibility across the community. His act of scattering flowers has inspired, blossoming into a small but meaningful movement. Groups of veterans begin to connect, organizing dignified, safe memorial ceremonies where they can scatter flowers, share stories, and support each other through psychological scars. These memorials are quiet, yet they carry a silent power, like small waves rippling in succession, spreading healing and unity. They learn from him that sometimes the simplest acts, like releasing a petal onto the sea, can hold profound meaning, can bind strangers together, and can keep the flame of memory burning. Standing by the shore, watching the petals drift away, the old soldier feels a deep contentment. He knows he's done what his heart always urged. He hasn't just kept his promise to his comrades, he's passed that flame to others, for them to nurture and spread. To him, this is the greatest gift, knowing that the memories will live on, not just in his heart, but in the hearts of a community that has learned to cherish what is most sacred. The story of the old soldier, clutching a bouquet to defy a ban and honor his comrades, has touched the hearts of millions. His quiet act, seemingly solitary, unleashed a profound wave of emotion. When the Navy responded with a ceremony, scattering thousands of rose petals across the ocean, that moment was more than a tribute. It was a wordless declaration. Justice and reverence need not clash. In the old soldier's heart, a storm of emotions gradually calmed. He once feared his comrades' memories would be swept away by the waves, but now he feels deep solace, seeing an institution, once rigid with rules, heed his inner voice. That ceremony not only healed his wounds, it mended the community, restoring faith that sacred values will always be preserved. To an American audience, this story mirrors those who quietly fight to keep memories alive. The old soldier becomes a symbol for those daring to face the conflict between rules and conscience, willing to speak out despite the cost. In his heart, there was once fear, inner turmoil, yet also a fierce belief that his comrades' sacrifices deserved recognition. His actions remind us that loyalty and courage can shake even the sturdiest walls. When the community and institution opened their hearts, ready to adapt and honor what is right, they didn't just acknowledge an individual, they ignited hope for a generation. The petals falling on the sea, to viewers, are a symbol of healing, of collective strength when human hearts are heard. If this story moves you, it's a call to spread its message of loyalty and sacrifice. The old soldier didn't just scatter flowers to remember, he lit a flame of hope in every heart. Memories must not be forgotten, and memorials, however simple, can become torches lighting the future. Share this story so those petals may forever drift on the sea, carrying the message that when we dare to speak and listen, both individuals and communities find peace.